In the headlines, E-Levy takes off on Sunday. GRA banks and telcos ready for implementation. Meanwhile, the revenue target of the levy has been revised down to 4.5 billion Ghana cedis. In Bolga in the Upper East region, a delegate in the ongoing NPP constituency elections dies after collapsing at the election grounds. And on the international front, Elon Musk is said to have sold around 4 billion worth of Tesla shares as he moved to buy Twitter. Welcome to the news in brief on Graphic Online. All is set for the E-Levy to take off on Sunday as scheduled. The Ghana Revenue Authority and the three charging entities, banks and specialized deposit-taking institutions, electronic money issuers and telecommunications companies have instituted the relevant systems and mechanisms to start collecting 1.5% as levy on daily electronic transfers.
This means that from Sunday, all electronic transfers that are done in a day and above 100 Ghana cedis will attract a 1.5% levy to be remitted to GRA to support the government to fund development. The Commissioner General of GRA, Reverend Dr. Mishadai Owusu-Amoah, and the other stakeholders have said they expect the implementation to be smooth. The strategy for charging and the system for tracking transactions for purposes of applying the levy had been piloted and found to be resilient and ready for actual implementation.
Meanwhile, the government has cut the revenue target to 4.5 billion Ghana cedis from the initial projected 6.9 billion Ghana cedis proposed in the 2022 budget statement announced in November last year in Parliament.
The Commissioner General of GRA, Reverend Dr. Mishadai Owusu-Amoah, told Graphic Online that the revision followed the reduction in the rate from 1.75% to 1.5%, the delay in implementation, the levy and the negative sentiment that heralded the proposal of the levy last year. Dr. Owusu-Amoah added that GRA's internal survey had indicated that electronic transactions would slow down in the first days of the levy's implementation before picking up. He was, however, optimistic that transactions will stabilize in the medium term as people get used to the levy. He said the various exemptions provided by the government were boosters to usage of electronic transactions and thus urged the public to look at the convenience provided by digital transactions. He also called on the public to take the levy as one of their little contributions to nation building.
And on the academic front, former Dean of the School of Information and Communication Studies of the University of Ghana, Professor Audrey Gajipo, is calling for an improvement in the environment in which the media operate, no matter what the laws in place are saying. To her, journalists must feel safe and confident to do their job without fear of attacks. Added that whether state or non-state actors, those who violate media rights ought to be held accountable and sanctioned, as was the only way to reduce impunity. She, however, charged the media to do an introspection to help address the litany of complaints against them. Without space of civic freedoms, there is the risk that authoritarian governments would place further restrictions to deal with the media's ability to hold them accountable. Professor Gajipo said this at her inaugural lecture at the University of Ghana on Thursday evening. It was on the topic, Taking the Gown to Town, Reflections of a Scholar Activist on Media in Ghana's Democratic Journey.
It is fair to say that in Ghana, lack of transparency in media ownership, coupled with proprietorial interference, has had a negative influence on the work of the media. Another negative factor has been attacks on journalists and serious threats to free speech, media freedoms, and the safety of journalists. Watchdog groups such as Media Foundation for West Africa and CDD Ghana warn of a deterioration in the civic space in which the media operate. Media Foundation has documented several violations against the media by state and non-state actors. Examples of violations include instances where police or soldiers have detained, assaulted, or threatened journalists or media crew while they were covering stories. The brutal police assault on Joy FM's Latif Idrisu is a case in point. Equally indicting is the still unresolved murder in 2019 of Ahmed Hussein Swale, who worked with investigative journalist Anas Ameria Anas. A more recent example of another egregious attack happened at Radio Ada, a community radio station, that has been challenging the lack of transparency and accountability in the privatization of salt lagoons and advocating for better governance in the extraction of Adan's natural resource, which is salt.
And in politics, the NPP continued with its constituency elections today. There are some hiccups in some areas, but many constituencies have been able to elect their officers who are to serve the party for the next 4 years. The exercise will end on May 2nd. At Bolga in the Upper East region, there was an unfortunate incident as a delegate collapsed and died on Thursday at the Nut Hall. He was one of the delegates at the Bolga Central constituency.
It is yet to be medically established what caused his death, but some suspect it was as a result of a shock as his favorite candidate did not win, identified as 37-year-old Paul Azika, who was a government appointee of the Bolga Municipal Assembly. He collapsed and died after the announcement of the results. His preferred candidate, Awudu Asonga, lost the chairmanship position to Kwame Anaba with just 2 votes. Azika, who is also a chief campaigner, was said to be in high spirits and was optimistic that his candidate, Awudu, was going to emerge the winner. He was rushed to the Bolga Regional Hospital, where he was pronounced dead upon arrival.
And to wrap up, and on the international front, according to filings with the Securities and Exchange Commission, the chief executive officer of Tesla and SpaceX, Elon Musk, is said to have sold roughly $4 billion worth of Tesla shares in the days following his bid to take over Twitter private. In a flurry of trades executed Tuesday and Wednesday, Elon Musk offloaded about 4.4 million shares of his electric vehicle company.
Tesla shares fell 12% on Tuesday, but edged higher on Wednesday by less than 1 percentage point. As the filings became public, Musk wrote on Twitter, "No further Tesla sales planned after today." He made a remark in response to an account that heavily promotes Tesla stock, products, and Musk on social network. Musk is bidding to buy Twitter and take the social media company private for $54.2 per share, around $44 billion. Twitter accepted his offer earlier this week, but the deal still requires shareholder and regulatory approval.
News in Brief was brought to you by Graphic News Plus.
Download your Graphic News Plus now and choose your preferred package daily, weekly, monthly, and annually, and access free news on various interest areas as well. Graphic News Plus, connecting people through news.
Thank you for watching. Stay safe and protect yourself from COVID-19. For more news, please visit graphic.com.gh or log on to Facebook at Daily Graphic and on YouTube at Graphic GH. I am Inokodo Hiniafa Frimpong.